Welcome into another Running with the Timberwolves podcast on the Believe Sports Network. My name is Gabe Anderson. I'm usually joined by Chris, but tonight I'm going solo to talk about a huge come-from-behind victory for the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight as they win 119-116 over the Denver Nuggets. And you got to talk about the clutch. The Wolves go down by 10. And you think it's over. I thought it was over. I know a lot of other people had to have thought it was over, particularly with a Nuggets group that has been together forever. Now, I know that they don't have or didn't have Jamal Murray for the end of the game, but still, you got to think against Jokic in a 10-point lead, that lead's probably going nowhere because usually Denver's a team that's down 12 early on or down 12 in the fourth quarter, and then they come back and have a miraculous comeback. I know that happened last year, although we won in overtime. It's just happened a couple times. But, I mean, just clutch stuff out of Nickeil Alexander-Walker tonight, hitting that two threes in the fourth quarter for Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Huge bucket there. I mean, he finishes on the night 2 for 6 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3. And I got to think that Chris Finch had to be thinking about taking him out when the Wolves were down 10. You'd think maybe go with like a DiVincenzo, but no, he stuck with Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And good thing that he did because he caught fire at the exact right time. In fact, the only 2 shots he made all night, other than 2 free throws, were those 2 threes when we needed them most. I thought, although he only went 2 for 7 from the field, I thought that Dante DiVincenzo was awesome in this game. He did have 6 assists, 8 rebounds, and we talked about this on the past episode. Ant brought up in some post-game interviews that the guards really needed to rebound. The guards needed to get after it and help out the defensive rebounding. And I think they did a pretty good job tonight. Nickeil had 2. DiVincenzo had 8 rebounds. Ant contributed for 4. And I thought, particularly DiVincenzo with his 8 rebounds, I thought he really helped out the Wolves' cause on some second chance points potentially for the Nuggets. And then we got to talk about Anthony Edwards. He's coming up clutch. He's getting more into his bag. And what I love to see, I know he hit a 3 off the dribble in the possession before, which was huge. But what I love to see, and he did it again, he didn't, when the game was on the line, he didn't dribble a bunch and just chuck up some 3. He knew what he needed to do. He knew he could get around the defender, got into the paint, threw it up, and got it to go. I love what we're seeing out of Ant in clutch time, and I think it's just his next growth and maturity because, like you were saying, Ant was doing nothing in the second half. In fact, that 3 that he made was his first shot of the fourth quarter, and then he comes up big with that 3, and then hits that 2, which we needed that floater in the lane. And we're seeing Ant just adding more and more to his game, and you love to see it. And then, of course, we got to mention Rudy, who that's when I thought the night was over. When Christian Braun dunks over Rudy Gobert and gets in his face, I thought, okay, we're done. This, 25-3 run, this is going to stick. It's over. It's not going to go well. We're not coming back from this one. But how about Rudy at the end there? That defense he played on Jokic, forcing him into the corner and having him chuck up an air ball. Now, I know Aaron Gordon got the rebound, but there wasn't enough time left. Man, Rudy, I know, and this is the experience with Rudy, right? There's going to be times where, like, in fact, we saw it in the last 4 minutes of the game, where he gets dunked on like Christian Braun did to him. Let's be honest. That's not the first time that Rudy Gobert has been dunked on in his career. If you don't believe me, go check the archives. Go check YouTube. Go look up Rudy Gobert gets posterized. It's happened before. But what else are you going to get? You're going to get big plays when it matters most. And you got to applaud Rudy. 2 free throws. 2 free throws at the end when we needed it. or I don't want to say needed it, but it helped balloon the lead to 3 and made it a much more difficult attempt from 3 for Nikola Jokic. And it's much easier to guard a team when you know they have to take a 3. You only got to guard the perimeter. So that helped immensely. And Rudy Gobert on the night, like I was saying, just great night tonight. And it seems like there's a Dante DiVincenzo, Rudy Gobert connection going on. And I love to see it. He had 2 or 3 alley-oop dunks. In fact, I think what I've loved to see so far this year with Rudy Gobert is there's a couple times, but a lot of the times they're not trying to force it to him. A lot of the times you got to give Rudy Gobert the ball in a position where he's good at. And those 2 positions are little dump offs for a dunk or they're alley-oops for dunks. And we're putting him in the right position. DiVincenzo had a couple great passes to him. I think Ant had a great alley-oop to him, which we never see. Like I was listening to Locked On Timberwolves, which is another great Wolves podcast, which you should check out if you haven't. But they were talking about if we can get one alley-oop dunk from Ant to Rudy a game, that's good. And that's exactly what we saw tonight. And I loved some of the movement of this team as well. Like there were 2 possessions in the second half. First half, excuse me, where I think it was DiVincenzo, and then one of them was Nickeil Alexander-Walker. They were coming around screens and tossed it out to a wide open 3-point shooter, and we made it both times. I loved the offense in this game. I thought it was great. Other than obviously the 25-3 run that they went on the Nuggets, we'll just call that payback for the time we went on that huge run in Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals. But the only difference is we came out with the victory in both games. And then, of course, say his name, Naz Reid, 16 points tonight, 7 for 10 from the field, 1 for 3 from 3. And this is what I love about Naz Reid, and I'll get to Julius Randle in a minute. Yes, they want to take threes, but if they think that they have a guy, that a guy is chopping their feet out. Sorry about that, everybody. My mic kind of slipped up a little bit. But like I was saying, if they think that they have a mismatch on someone charging out, trying to stop them shooting the 3, they'll take their time. They'll go after it and exploit the mismatch. It doesn't always have to be a chucked up 3-pointer if they're not feeling confident about it. And that's what I've loved about Naz and Julius Randle as well. And we got to talk about, how about Julius Randle? And Ant was talking about it on the post-game press conference, or not the press conference, but the post-game interview after the game. Randle is just so efficient. In fact, Ant said, I didn't know that he was this efficient. I mean, talk about these efficiency numbers. 8 for 13, 2 for 5 from 3, 5 for 5 from the 3-throw line, 23 points. He was a minus 14, but 7 assists and 6 rebounds. I mean, that's efficient. That's efficient right there. And I thought that the chemistry between Ant and Randle and the rest of the team in general is continuing to grow. And you love to see it. Of course, like Ant was saying in the post-game interview as well, Jaden McDaniels got us going as well earlier. Although not great in the Jaden McDaniels minutes, only a minus 29. Obviously, a lot of those were that 25-3 run. So that's why a lot of the starters have minus minutes. The only pluses on this team in the minutes they were out there are Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Anthony Edwards, and Mike Conley. Jaden McDaniels, a minus 29 on the night. Oh, Rudy was positive too at a +7. But I thought Jaden played okay, had some foul trouble, did get into 5 fouls, had 2 blocks, which was big. And then Naz Reid too, 3 blocks on the night. Great job from Naz Reid. If we can get him to play defense too, I mean, he always plays defense, but if we can get him to make some impactful defensive plays on every given night, I mean, that's just icing on the cake right there. And I thought we played well tonight. Other than that 25-3 run, I thought everything was all systems go. There were a couple times where Denver creeped back in. It seemed like, and I also felt this way in our last game as well. Every time we went on a run, every time we made a little separation, Denver would just come creeping back. And Denver's problem for the season, and I think it was pretty evident tonight, it stuck out like a sore thumb, is their bench is not good. Now, I know that they're going to have Jamal Murray. Who knows how long he's out, wishing him a recovery. And a concussion is no joke, obviously. But they're running Westbrook at the end. And this is the point distribution for the bench tonight. Dario Saric, 5 minutes, 0 points. Tyson, which I honestly, I pride myself in knowing most NBA players. I had no idea who Tyson was, and I was shocked that he hit a jumper. But 6 minutes, 2 points. Peyton Watson, 14 minutes, 2 points. Russell Westbrook, 1 for 8 from the field, 5 points. Strother, 16 minutes, 4 points. No player on the Denver Nuggets off the bench hit more than 1 field goal. I'm sorry, guys, but that's not going to work long-term this season. I mean, you got guys, I don't want to say they're aging, but I would say they're kind of going out of their prime a little bit, like Jokic, and Aaron Gordon's been around for a while. Michael Porter, he's not aging, but he's obviously injury prone. So I don't know if it's going to work for the Nuggets to play their starters that heavy of minutes and rely on them that much, particularly if Murray is out for any length of time. I mean, they could be in trouble. They really could be in trouble. Now, the question was, with no Cat, how are we going to defend Jokic? And, Jokic did Jokic things. 8 for 16 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, 8 for 10 from the free throw line, 9 rebounds, 13 assists. So, I mean, and I know, and we talked about this on the last podcast, I know a lot was made of the defense that Cat played on Jokic, but I thought Randall handled him a couple times tonight. And I thought when Randall was on him, I thought he did a pretty good job. I thought Rudy did a pretty decent job. I think we all just got to remember that Jokic is, like Ant said, again, in the postgame interview, this is the best player in the league. Jokic is all around the best player in the league. And you just got to do what you can on him. You're not going to shut him down. He may have an off shooting night, and that's great. He didn't tonight. And speaking of not off shooting nights, 31 points for Aaron Gordon. That's not going to happen every night. Okay. That is not going to happen every night. He went 5 for 7 from 3. This is a guy that in the past, you almost played Rudy defense on him where you didn't even guard him past the free throw line. Or I would, from the 3-point line, I should say. Maybe not past the free throw line, but he was great tonight for the Nuggets. And that's the thing, other than Jamal Murray, who obviously got hurt and only played 22 minutes, really all their starters played well. And that's the problem with the Nuggets. They don't have a bench right now. They don't have a bench. I mean, if you look at the starters, 31, 26, 26, 6, that's Murray. And then if you get 14 points from Christian Braun and 5 for 11 from the field, I think you'll take that every night if you're the Nuggets. Problem is they don't have a bench to help out. I mean, Russell Westbrook, 1 for 8 from the field. Peyton Watson, 1 for 6. Tyson, 1 for 1. Saric, 0 for 3. I think Dario Saric is their Joe Ingles. Just go in, eat up some minutes, let Jokic get a breather. I think that is the Dario Saric experience this year for the Denver Nuggets. But we'll look at some team stats here. Probably too many offensive rebounds for the Nuggets. They did have 17 tonight as compared to 8 for the Wolves. So we're going to need to clean that up. And I think a lot of that comes to not only the guards rebounding, but I think Randall has got to be a little bit better rebounder. I mean, we got out rebounded 46 to 38 tonight. You're not going to win a lot of games where you get out offensive rebound 17 to 8. But I thought that we spread the ball around a lot. 34 assists tonight. How about this? 9 blocks for the Timberwolves. 9 blocks. Now, and I know a lot of that is the Nuggets attacking in the paint, but just protecting the paint a little bit. And points in the paint, actually not bad. We were getting killed earlier in the game, but it kind of leveled out a little bit. We still lost, but 50 to 46 in the paint, I think we'll take that on most nights. And really what it comes down to tonight's game is big performances when it mattered most. When Nikhil hadn't hit a 3 all night, hits 2 in a row to put us within 4. When Anthony Edwards, who hadn't taken a shot in the fourth quarter, boom, 3 from the top, then attack the basket, gets a 2, gets a little floater, and then defense at the end. Rudy Gobert forcing Jokic into the corner. Because Jokic, I think if we're only down 2, I think Jokic just backs him down and makes Rudy make a play. That's a more precarious position where Jokic has to actually make a 3. And I thought Rudy did exquisite on that. So I'm very happy, very proud of this team tonight. Obviously, we'll be back with more analysis next week. May do a post-game podcast after the Spurs game because remember, we're right back at it. We're right back at it tomorrow night against the Spurs at, I believe it's a 6 o'clock start, but I'll look that up. Yeah, tomorrow it's 7 o'clock start in San Antonio. So, but tonight you can't help but just be happy because, man, what a comeback win. And I know it doesn't feel like a comeback win, but it is. It is a comeback win. You're down 10 in the fourth quarter, and you get it done. Anyway, this is the Running with the Timberwolves podcast on the Believe Sports Network. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube, and give us a 5-star rating on Spotify and or Apple. And as always, go Wolves.